What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back to another one. Hope all is well. I want to talk some Colorado news. I want to talk about Shedeur's grade. Like, how do you grade Shedeur, like, at this moment in time? And I know all the experts has given him a grade, but I'm going to give you my take on it. But anyway, what's going on, guys? Hope all is well. Please give us a like. That'll be greatly appreciated. Yes, give us a like. Subscribe and share if you like. All that'll be greatly appreciated. All right, let me get into Shedeur's grade. Talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about the grades and stuff. Like, how do you rate him? A lot of people are rating him in the top 5 or the top 2 quarterbacks right now in next year's class, right? In next year's draft class. I'm gonna see how he do this year. The reason why I say that is because I honestly believe something happened in that locker room and his offensive line fell apart. He virtually didn't have any help last year as far as protection, like, let alone max protection. Forget about the max protection. He didn't have no max protection. He barely had protection at all. I want to grade him this year when he has a good offensive line. He don't have to have the greatest offensive line, but it looks like this offensive line is going to be very acceptable. And I'm going to grade him on this because this is another level, right? You know, he was at Jackson State. That's the HBCU level. Now he's at the Power 5 level. Now, we saw glimpses of that. We saw glimpses of what he can do in that TCU game. And the Nebraska game and the Colorado State game. We saw glimpses of it, and maybe the Arizona State game. But after that, he kept getting touched. I mean, there was instances where he only had 1 second to get rid of that ball. The defender was in his face. It's almost like the offensive lineman didn't even touch him. And there was a few examples where on the left side, it's just almost like the person just released their hands and let them tee off on him. So I don't grade him on those games because he really didn't have a chance. He was running for his life, or he was on his back in less than a second. In less than a second, he had multiple defenders around him. So I honestly think something went wrong in that locker room. And I want to talk about how they can make sure that locker room is on one accord. And because if that locker room falls apart again in any facet of the game, that could hurt people's draft stocks, I think. I don't know. And I think I asked you guys that before, like, will his draft stock go down a few points if they end up winning 3 games? Like, what would you, like, I'm not saying they're going to win 3 games, but will his stock go down? We're going to talk about Jerry Jones again as well. But I don't think it go down that much. It depends on his stats because, you know, the scouts are looking. And they know last year that offensive line fell apart. The scouts know that. So he still has a pretty good high rating based upon what he was able to do with the subpar offensive line. I don't even think they were subpar, man. They were just, you know, some people say that it could have been sabotaged. Maybe they just wasn't that good. I also think about that as well. But I don't want to put too much stuff out there because, you know, like I said before, I'm not in that locker room, so I don't know. So I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say too much and then it's, you know, it's inaccurate. So you can't really, only thing we can do is speculate. And I don't want to assume, you know, like what happened. But I do feel like something happened in the locker room, though. I really do. But yeah, so my point is I'm going to grade Shedeur this year based upon the protection. If he has great protection, now I grade him because I want to see how he gets rid of that ball. Because last year he said some of the wide receivers were missing assignments. But for me, it looked like he was nervous because he was getting ready to get hit. So that was a factor as well. So that's why I say this year, I'm going to really see what he do this year. I don't feel like there's no excuses this year. They got a new wide receivers coach. I honestly believe he's going to get those. He's going to get the wide receiver room in tip-top shape. So, because there was a few passes last year to Travis, and the passes were off, and they kind of both were just looking at each other like, what happened? You know, there was a few of those plays last year, and they both was like, what's going on? Like, you know, when they missed, it was like a misdirection or a misplay call or something. So hopefully that stuff will be fixed this year. But yeah, I wanted to say that about Shedeur. Let's grade him this year because he got a good offensive line. So let's see what he do this year. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be watching him this year and say, okay, Shedeur, you got an offensive line, and then I want to see what they do with that running game as well. I remember at Jackson State, they were able to run the ball, so it's not like Coach Prime don't like to run that ball, so they should be able to do that this year. They still have the same running backs coach. I think, Flea? Coach Flea? I believe that's the running back coach. So he got a healthy room this year. McCaskill wasn't ready last year, but this year he should be ready to go. And like I said, as long as no injuries, long as people don't have nagging injuries, things should run smoothly, I think. You know, they had a lot of injuries last year. I want to talk about that as well. But yeah, I'm going to get back to running the ball. They got to run the ball, man. They got to run the ball. So they already know that. That goes without saying. And I think they will be able to do so. They shouldn't have any problems. The offensive line look like they're not playing. And so we're going to see. But yeah, run the ball. And I think if they do that, things are pretty much, they'll win a few more games than they did last year. This is what I want to say again. I had mentioned this last night. We got the minimum amount of games they can win, and what's your ceiling? I feel like I'm disrespecting them by saying 8 games. I really do. I really feel like that's disrespect, but, you know, I got to be realistic here because it's just their second year, you know, of building. You got to remember that Coach Prime took this team over last year. So with that being said, I'm going to say 8 games. 8 games is the lowest. The ceiling is 10. I'm going to go with the ceiling is 10. I mean, if they win 10 games, that's a magical season. In my eyes, 10 games is a magical season. And there's going to be a lot of people getting drafted, I must say. A lot of people getting drafted because I don't think 10 games get you in the... I would say 10 games and get to the Big 12 championship. Because if they get to the Big 12 championship, they can treat it like a new season now. Like, you might as well say everybody start at eggshell. It's a new season. Let's try to win the Big 12 championship. I think 10 games could get them in contention with the Big 12 championship. It's a little bit of a stretch, though. It's a little close because of some of the teams. But I think a 10-2 record could get them... let me see. Actually, they would have to go undefeated. They would have to almost go undefeated in their conference play, right? Or maybe just lose 1 game in conference play. Because I'm saying 10-2. That's the ceiling for me. But yeah, man, you guys know more than that than I do as far as qualifying for playoffs and stuff like that. But they got to win the Big 12 championship to get in. That's what I say. But they really will want him in, though. So yeah, that's my take on the championships and how they can get in. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say about the playoffs and stuff like that. I mean, sky's the limit. you really got to take it one game at a time, be realistic, the minimum 8 games. But if they pull out some of these close games, which I think they can, because they got a running game and they got a plethora of wide receivers. And I think the reason why people are giving them the ceiling of 10 or more because of the wide receivers, and we still have 2 freshmen coming in that could play as true freshmen. We'll see. Sky's the limit. I know Coach Prime said he's looking for another linebacker when he was talking to Takeo Spikes. He said he's looking for a dog like that. I mean, Takeo Spikes was a dog. And what made him so great is his knowledge of the game. He knew exactly where to be, you know. Not saying that he don't already have that. Sometimes I think Coach Prime say that to motivate his team. You know, if his linebackers are looking at that, that should motivate them to be that linebacker, you know. So we'll see. But based upon the personnel that they were able to acquire, I think they did really well in this transfer portal. I know a friend of mine, Antoine, said last night that, was it Dabo Sweetney, or I can't remember which coach he said, that he's not trying to build a team in the transfer portal. He's trying to just develop players, but you got to understand, somebody like that already has an established team already. Now, 5 years down the line, if Coach Prime is still there, then you could say that. Then he will have the luxury of going after more high school players because he will already have an established team. This team is still being rebuilt. Remember, this is year 2. So you got to look at it like that. So it's not fair to, you know, to compare. Not saying that Antoine was comparing. He just mentioned what the coach said. But this is still year 2, so I'm being realistic this year. You're not going to hear me complaining about who's not playing or stuff like that, because I'm not jumping out the window this time. I'm not crashing out. You know, I crashed out last year, but I'm definitely not crashing out this year. I'm being realistic. 8 games, the ceiling is 10. But again, with that 10 games, can they get in the playoffs? I think that's contingent upon them winning the Big 12. So anything is possible with those wide receivers, man. And they got a new coach, so sky's the limit there. I mentioned yesterday Cavarcier Smoke. He said something about Shedeur. You know, Shedeur said we didn't have enough dogs last year. Shedeur was just being honest. You know, I don't really like the question, you know, like he was being interviewed by Cam Newton. He was being honest. Did they have enough dogs last year? According to Cavarcier Smoke, he said everybody know why they lost last year. Now, you remember Cavarcier Smoke said because of selfish play. And let me think about the selfish play for a minute. I don't know. Maybe there's something in the locker room. Like I said, I don't know. I'm just going to speculate. And I don't want to speculate because I'm sure I'll be wrong. But I would just say this. Hopefully, whatever that was going on last year, hopefully it's corrected. But Shedeur said there was some hate going on. He said that as well during the interview. There was some hate going on, and players weren't all the way together. I'm paraphrasing, but he did say there was some hating going on. And that's bad, you know, when you're trying to win. I mean, you got to be like a one cohesive unit, like at least 85% of the team, right? I would say 85%. If you're anything higher than that is a blessing. But there was some hating going on, so maybe there was a little bit of that. Like I said, there was something in the locker room that fell apart. That's what I would say. But to be fair, the first year, taking over the team, you're going to have some problems because you brought all these personalities together and you're trying to get them to gel together. So that's the challenge for this year. You know, they got a bunch of personalities again coming together for the first time. But we'll see. We'll see how they do. But what they have is a lot of maturity. They have a lot of maturity on the team. And so that's what I like in the upperclassmen that they have on the team this year. They're putting in that work, and you can see it already in the winter conditioning. You can see the glimpses of it, like Benson. That's one of my favorite players right now, Benson. He's working hard. He came up with the hashtag DT2, don't touch two. And I like his attitude, and the other players as well on that offensive line. So that offensive line, they got some depth to it. They could stand to add some more players, though, to the offensive line. But they got depth, though. It's a long season, and you talk about injuries and stuff like that. They need some depth as well. They still need depth. We got Jordan Seaton. I think people saying that he's going to start as a true freshman. But we'll see on that left tackle position. Then you got Isaiah Jada in that left tackle position as well. They need to add some more depth in the trenches, man. I think so. Or maybe not. I don't know what you guys think about the trenches. Where do you think they need to add more depth to? Linebackers. Yeah, I think they need to add a little bit more depth on the line. And we'll see what happens when the portal opens up, April, right? I think the portal opened back up in April. I know they're saying that the portal opened up for some of the, was it Michigan players? UCLA, I think, something like that. You guys were telling me last night. Maybe we could get that UCLA linebacker, man. He ain't going to the draft, is he? He gave us some problems last year, I'll tell you that much. So why don't he come and help us out this year instead of giving us some problems? We're not playing UCLA this year, but I'm just saying, to make up for what he did to us last year, come on to the team and get yourself acclimated, to the team, and you got a new team. Because he sure as hell gave the team hell last year, man. That damn linebacker from UCLA, man. Holy crap. He wasn't the only one, but he was one of them. So you need to come on, sir. Come on over to Boulder, and we'll be glad to have you. So yeah, man. But speaking of the transfer portal, another thing that was mentioned yesterday. Oh, by the way, if you noticed, you might not know, last night live chat, I had to take it down. I got flagged. And I was saying, and we mentioned politics last night. I'm telling you, YouTube, they don't want me talking about it. You feel me? So I said, okay, cool. I took it down and everything is all right. So just to let you know, you're not going to have that live chat from last night. That's why I'm doing it now, live from the mobile command center. This is my mobile. Look, he just cut me off without no, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. He just cut me off, ain't got no blinkers on, and the person is on their phone. So yeah, I'm doing it right now, live from the mobile command center. You know what I mean? If there's breaking news, I have to come into the mobile command center and check it out. But yeah, speaking of the transfer portal, we mentioned this last night, and I want to ask you guys your opinion on this before I close out. The transfer portal, will there be some players leaving in the transfer portal after the spring game? Possibly. That's normal, in teams. Like last year, we had quite a few players last year leaving the transfer portal. We may have that again this year. And I think it's going to be one or two that's going to surprise us. We just don't know yet. And because, with respect to the spring game, right? If I was on the verge of leaving, I want to have a good training. I want to have a good practice. I want to have a good spring session. And I want to show out in the spring game. Because now I'm auditioning for other teams out there that can take a look at us, because there's going to be a lot of eyes on that spring game, right? So if there's going to be a lot of eyes on that spring game, I want to do well so that if I'm going to another team, then yeah, I'll be able to transition after that spring game. That's what I would do. So there's some quarterbacks that we have in house, like Cooled, and we have a couple quarterbacks like Schaub. He may want to go to a team and play, but we're going to see, because he can very well go to a team and play. If there's a team out there that desperately needs a quarterback with his skill set, we'll see. I don't think that'll surprise people if he leaves, you know what I mean? But he looks like he likes what he's doing. He's content, but I don't know. I'm just going off of the well-off media videos and stuff like that, so I don't know. But that'll be the way to do it, you know, as opposed to just, okay, I'm just going to hit the portal right before the spring game. You know, you don't want to do that. You're burning bridges. Like some of those players last year, they burned bridges. And a couple of those players, they went on to other teams. You ain't hear nothing else about them. So I would think that we will see. I hope that a few of them stay, because we need the depth, especially in the tight end position. We got a tight end at 6'5", 250 or 255 or something like that. We got a big tight end, and we're gonna see how he do in the spring session. You know what I mean? But he may very well want to play. So he may very well want to play. You know, I get it. When teams want to play, I mean, I get it where, you know, players, they want to play, you know, I get it if, you know, players want to go somewhere and play. They asked, Coach Prime that question after the, last game of the season against Utah. They said, what about Staub? He said, you know, players want to play. And he wouldn't knock him if he want to go to another school and play. So, yeah, we're going to see what happens after the spring, man. That's what I'm going to say right there. I'm going to leave it at that. But, guys, thank you for watching. I have reached my destination. I have to shut down the mobile command center and figure out what's going on. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe. And please hit the bell notification so you can get updated on my latest content as it drops. And if you haven't done so already, please give us a like. And I will be back later. Probably a little bit, I don't know, probably a little late. But we'll see how things go. But guys, until next one, peace. Thanks for watching, guys. But before you go, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also hit the bell notification so you can get updated on my latest content as it drops. If you have any video ideas, feel free